with the interest rates affecting residential real estate, do you think they're also affecting commercial real estate? Your 45 seconds starts.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think what we're seeing right now is this dynamic shift of, like, I have conversations with people who do multifamily, and they talk like, because you plan so far in advance for a multifamily project. So the people that are currently in a spot where they're going to potentially need to refinance, people that are in a position where they've been planning a development project for 1, 2, 3 years, that now they were anticipating being able to start at this time. That has real cause and effect, right? Like, if you look at how a commercial loan functions, especially a construction loan that's transitioning into perm, if I'm in multifamily right now, I'm definitely going to have some pause for concern, because the percentage of interest on 10 million or 5 million or 1 million is drastically greater than it is on $100,000. So I think people that focus specifically on multifamily, especially new projects, they've got a lot of thinking to do in this moment. 110%.
Okay. Steve Trang, your thoughts?
All right. So historically, what we've always seen is that the commercial market follows the residential market. So if residential does well, commercial does well. Residential goes down, commercial goes down. Now, for me, the biggest concern is interest rates, right? Every time the Fed bumps the rate, this is directly affecting the amount of money or the terms that someone can borrow at. And unfortunately, what you can borrow at and the cap rate, which is how you value a property, are very much correlated as far as I understand. So if interest rates are going up, the cap rate, the return on investment has to go up, and the return on investment has to go up. The only way to fix that is to lower the value of the property. So if you buy a property at 4% or you buy a property at 8%, is literally a 50% difference in value. So I don't see how the commercial market does not get dramatically affected by everything going on with the Fed.
Okay. Leon, your thoughts?
No
Leon,
audio.
Oh, no audio, Leon. Don't worry. I won't start the clock. We'll give him a couple seconds.
He's on mute. You got to log out, log back in.
Go to Jimmy.
Let's go over to Jimmy. Yeah, let's go over to Jimmy. Jimmy, your thoughts?
Yeah, Steve. I mean, I wanted, it's your podcast. I wanted to do my best to, be a professional and be here and make sure my internet works and my audio works. But that's just me.
Yo, no, I like this guy, man. I like this guy.
Yeah, I mean, cap rates for multifamily sucked before the interest rates went up. So I'm assuming cap rates really suck, which to me is another reason I'm bullish on single family. The Wall Street for 20 years has tried to make single family residential an institutional asset. And like, we cracked the code during COVID of doing this. And this is going to put more pressure to get single family real estate to be a a more sophisticated asset. So
An asset class.
Cap rates already sucked with low interest rates. Now they really suck. That's good for us, the single family people. Like, they're trying to figure out how to make this an institutional asset.
Perfect. On spot, 45 seconds. Jimmy's coming in here like he's a vet. Internet working.
I'm just trying to be a professional, Weasel. I get invited by a friend on their podcast. I try to respect them.
Leon, are we good on your end now?
I mean, it's 11:30 on Thursday. People are taking off work and stuff. Like, and then we have to delay them for internet and communication issues. Like, what is that doing to our audience?
We're getting sabotaged on two different levels. Jimmy's a former government employee. I bring him on. He's shutting me down. I got CJ, Virginia. Something's wrong with the internet here in Virginia. Maybe that's down the way. I don't know. But, I'm just being sabotaged here. The good thing is, on this particular question, I don't need all 45 seconds. There's no counterpoint to this. Obviously, it affects the commercial side. A lot of our multifamily apartment complex syndication guys, self-storage guys within our Collective Genius family, they've all been affected by this. But I will say, they're all smart, they're all savvy, and there's been a lot of retrading that has happened during this time frame. It's been easy for them to negotiate down that price to Steve's cap rate position. If the numbers don't pencil, I've got to either retrade or this deal doesn't make sense and there's no reason to move forward. So obviously it has affected commercial as much, if not more, than any other.
Yeah. I think, to Chris's point earlier, like my biggest concern is if you bought a property and you plan on doing a refi, right, in 3 to 5 years, and you started the project with the interest rates at 4, and now in 3 to 5 years, the interest rates are 8 or 9 or 10, how are you going to do a refi? It's going to be a really interesting situation.
It's a tough out.
You better have your ass out in the street raising private money.
Yeah, you're in a tough spot. I think a lot of multifamily people aren't speaking on it at the moment, but I think a lot of people are. I want to point out something Jimmy said. He just dropped some game that maybe people did not catch. But with single family houses becoming an asset class after the Great Recession, what Wall Street is seeing right now, institutional financing is seeing right now, is how great of an asset single family housing actually tends to be. And that a compounding return on single family, in many ways, when you have the type of capital stack that an institutional fund does, can certainly supersede greatly what a multifamily project may be able to do. Does it take more management? Does it take more infrastructure? 110%. But what we're seeing in our relationships with hedge funds is they're aggressively trying to figure that out. They're going and purchasing neighborhoods here in Richmond directly from builders and purchasing the entire neighborhood. I think that's going to become a very common practice here in the near future. And so I think that we're in just a different dynamic than we were, in 2008, 2010, where single family housing, I think, is going to be the institutional stabilized asset that a lot of people are going to be starting to look at.
CJ, I would add to that I think you're absolutely correct with that, but it goes back to both of them. We've talked about that before on this show. They're buying both. They understand that multifamily and single family is valuable, and they're just trying to figure out buying it nationwide and being able to control that and manage it at a high level. That's the hard part, but they understand both. So they're buying both is the answer.
And maybe, people are finally figuring out that stocks is a complete waste of time.
They really are, though. They don't figure that out until we're ready to retire.
If you got all of Wall Street trying to get onto Main Street, like that should I tell my buyers this all the time, that should send you a signal. Like if they're trying to get into single family residential, and you're still investing in the stock market and you can get a 30-year fixed loan, you're a silly pants. Pay attention, wake up.
Or investing in said fund when they could come to Jimmy, and I don't know Jimmy, but they could come to Jimmy and buy from him turnkey and get a better return. Much headache. For sure.
We talked about this before. Jimmy and I talked about this a lot. When you are currently holding assets, the more assets you can get your hands on are more assets that eventually institutions are going to want to buy. So if you are in 5 years, you're sitting there with 500 doors, you have the golden ticket. A lot of those properties that people were wholesaling the last 3 years, I was always cherry pick at least 3 of those a month and hold on to them, because once you sell them to the institution, you're not getting those properties back anytime soon. And to CJ's point earlier, they're not making any more right now, at least.
And I love them too, because I think they set the floor. So if there's a massive sell-off, hedge funds will come in and buy everything up.
So one last thing we've learned from this particular question is that Jimmy watches a lot of Buddy the Elf, because he gave us a silly pants reference. So we're just going to name Jimmy Buddy the Elf.
In his defense,
I thought it was a Blue's Clues. Reference.
In his defense, he asked for what is he allowed to say and not allowed to say, respectfully, prior to the show.
A good, hey, you're a silly goose plays better on a family podcast than like an MF.
We're going to need pardon the disruption after dark, because I want to hear the uncensored version.
Oh, we'd have some fun with that.
Hey, listen, you're 2 for 2. Fart sniffer, silly pants. I'm all in.
I think Jimmy had a show. Was it Entrepreneurs After Hours? What was the name of that show?
Oh, it's Entrepreneurs Drinks.
Entrepreneurs Drinks.
I would just, this is when I had 60 rentals and I had quit my job. 2 weeks after I quit my job, I'm like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm awesome. So I would just get drunk and tell everybody what I knew. It was a very dark time in my life.
Guys, that's financial freedom. There you go. That's financial freedom right there.
The voting is still open right now. We actually have a 2-way tie, so let's allow some more time to go through so we can clear up this tie right now between CJ and Steve. 40% each is a big point. It's a big point for
Yeah,
everybody.
shout out to these VAs, man. I want to give a special shout out real fast.
Hey, go vegans.
I want to shout out. Yeah, go vegan. Go vegan. I love it. I love it.
Really quickly, I do want to highlight some of the chats. We have a lot of Jimmy's hilarious, Jimmy's wild, LOL, Jimmy chat. Jimmy is very popular in the chat right now. We do have some.
Well, why don't we get any points for like being funny? What?
It's not in the
Steve,
scoring system. You gotta learn how to play by the rules.
Humor?
Listen, on my personal scoreboard, you're up. You know, which is really important, just not essential to the program right now.
I appreciate that, CJ. Thank you.
We're still at a 3-way tie. Looks like CJ's pulling up ahead really quickly. In the meantime, while the voting closes, I do want to encourage everyone to subscribe, like the video, as well as share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, share it with a family member. Look out for the Part of the Disruption official YouTube channel where we upload all of the clips and highlights from the show, as well as shorts. So look for that YouTube channel as well. And we are still at a tie. So
shout out real quick while we're waiting for that tie break, man. I just want to shout out my guy EB. All right, shout out to Eric Brewer Method, because if he was here and not Jimmy, I'd be winning for sure. So shout out to Eric Brewer. All right, shout out to my guy EB. All right, hope he's doing well in his travels today. All right, shout out to him.
Yeah, we got these two comic club guys. They're just trouble. Man, we've gotten way more votes than.
There we go. Yeah, the voting is still going through. Jimmy, I do got one question for you. Because there's a member of the regular panel, right, who once told me that if he had a table in the club, he would not share his bottles with me, nor would he allow me into his country club. So just in vetting you as a candidate, potential replacement, how do you feel about maybe Big Weeze in your section at the club?
There you go.
Like, why wouldn't he let you in?
And we're still trying to figure it out.
Jimmy, he wasn't making enough bread, bro. He didn't have enough money coming in.
You know, I'm kind of, believe it or not, you would not find me at a club often. I don't, maybe like the last 10 years. So, I'd be concerned that I'd be invited. You know what I mean?
Weasel, look, bro. Weasel, you can come hang out with me. Jimmy's just drinking, reading books, and talking about renting real estate. I don't know what Steve's doing. He ain't even drinking.
But like beers on my boat, like wake surfing, yeah, any day of the week for sure.
Jimmy's hired.
Jimmy's not at the club. Jimmy doesn't skip leg day, arm day, chest day, back day. He's doing all those days. No clubs anymore for Jimmy.
Yeah,
wake up
I
at 4
like to
a.m.
keep
to
my
work
shit
out.
tight for the misses.
The voting looks like it just closed up, and CJ took it by 3%. Just a few votes. Man. Big second point for CJ.
I've listened to this. CJ has like an army of VAs like voting for him, right? Like that's the conspiracy.
Is that a conspiracy?
Next time if you give me more than a half hour's notice, I'm gonna have all my VAs on.
There you go.